What would you do if, one day, two children suddenly appeared in your village? Dirty, confused, speaking a language no one understood, and with skin that was entirely green. This isn't a story made up for a movie. It's a real account from 12th century England, recorded by historians of the time. It begins in a quiet farming village called Woolpit, tucked into the countryside of Suffolk. Life there was ordinary. People lived off the land, watched their livestock, and kept to the rhythms of the seasons. But one day, something happened that would echo through history for centuries. Something no one could explain. The village got its name from the wolf pits dug into the earth. Deep holes meant to trap wild animals that threatened sheep and cattle. It was near one of these pits that the villagers made a strange discovery. Two young children were standing nearby. They looked human, but there was something off. Their skin had a greenish tint. Their clothes were like nothing anyone in the village had ever seen. Rough, oddly colored, and made from unfamiliar materials. Most disturbing of all, they didn't speak a word of English. Not even a word anyone recognized. The children looked scared. Their eyes were wide. They clung to each other as if they had no one else in the world. The villagers didn't know what to do. They had never seen anything like this. In a time when most people never left their own towns, seeing two foreign-looking children appear out of nowhere was more than strange. It was terrifying. Some villagers thought they were spirits. Others believed they might be wild children raised in the forest. But no one could explain their green skin. No one could explain their speech, which didn't match any known language. And no one knew where they had come from. There were no missing children. No travelers had reported losing anyone. It was like they had stepped out of the earth itself. At first, the children refused to eat anything offered to them. Bread, meat, fruit, everything was pushed away. They seemed hungry but afraid of the food. It wasn't until someone brought out raw broad beans, still in their pods, that they began to eat. They devoured them quickly, as if they hadn't eaten in days. It was the only food they accepted. That small detail, too, puzzled the villagers. Why only beans? And how had they survived this long? The villagers took them in and cared for them. Over time, the children began to settle. Slowly, they adjusted to the food, the people, the language. And slowly, the green color in their skin began to fade. But questions remained. Where did they come from? Why was their skin green? And what had they meant when they finally began to speak and described a place with no sun, only twilight? That answer would come from the girl, because soon after their arrival, tragedy struck. In the 12th century, England was a land of castles, knights, and simple villages where life moved slowly. Woolpit was one such village, small and quiet, surrounded by fields and forests. It was the kind of place where everyone knew each other, and strange events were rare. The people worked hard to grow their crops and raise their animals, always wary of the dangers lurking in the wild, especially the wolves that prowled nearby. That's why they had dug deep pits, called wolf pits, to trap these dangerous creatures and protect their livestock. This was the world the two green children suddenly stepped into. It was a time when travel was difficult, and people rarely left their home villages. Communication was limited, and most folks believed in old stories about spirits and otherworldly beings. So, when these children appeared, everything about them felt out of place. The green tint of their skin puzzled everyone. It wasn't like a bruise or a rash. Their color was unnatural, like a strange shade of pale green that seemed to glow faintly under the sunlight. It was as if they belonged to a different world. The children wore clothes made of unfamiliar fabric, unlike anything the villagers had seen. Their garments were rough but carefully sewn, in colors that blended with the forest, muted greens and browns. It was clear they had come from somewhere else, somewhere wild or hidden, but no one could guess where. The children didn't speak a word anyone understood. Their language was strange and musical, but none of the villagers could find a single word they knew. It was a mystery wrapped in silence. The villagers, though frightened, were kind. They offered food and shelter. But the children refused to eat anything at first. Bread, cheese, meat. None of it touched their lips. Instead, they only wanted raw broad beans, something simple and unusual for hungry children. They ate these beans hungrily, as though they had been starving for a long time. This odd behavior made the villagers even more curious. Why raw beans? How had the children survived without proper food for so long? Slowly, the green children began to trust their caretakers. Days passed, and they stayed hidden away from the village at first, but gradually they started to explore. Their skin color changed little by little, fading from bright green to a more natural tone. The boy seemed weaker, growing ill after some time, but the girl grew stronger. As she learned to speak English, she began to share small pieces of her story. She spoke of a strange land called St. Martin's Land, where the sun never fully rose and the light was dim like twilight. She said their home was separated from the village by a great river, one that they had crossed without knowing how. Her words painted a picture of a world unlike anything the villagers had ever imagined, half in shadow, half in light. It was a place hidden from the normal world, mysterious and far away. The girl's story raised even more questions than answers. Where exactly was this land? Was it a hidden part of the earth or something beyond human understanding? The villagers listened, amazed but unsure. The strange children had come from somewhere no one could place, speaking of a place no one had seen. And yet, their arrival was real, and their story was forever part of Woolpit's history. As the days went by, the villagers began to grow more curious about the two children who had appeared so suddenly and mysteriously. Life in Woolpit was simple, and most people had never traveled far beyond their village, so meeting strangers was a rare event. But these children were unlike anyone they had ever met. The green color of their skin slowly faded, revealing a more natural tone, but their story remained just as strange. The boy, unfortunately, grew weaker with time. Despite the care given by the villagers, his health declined rapidly. He never learned to speak the language of Woolpit, and his silence only deepened the mystery surrounding their arrival. After a short time, the boy passed away. The villagers mourned his loss, but turned their attention to the girl, who seemed stronger and more determined to survive. The girl began to adapt to life in the village. She learned English slowly, picking up words from those around her. With every new word, she grew more confident, and eventually, she was able to tell her story. Her voice was soft but filled with wonder as she described a place that no one had ever heard of before. She called it St. Martin's Land. It was a world bathed in twilight, where the sun never fully rose and never fully set. She said it was a place separated from theirs by a great river that no one could cross easily. The land was strange to her, with a sky dim and colors muted, as if it existed in a constant dusk. The girl explained that she and the boy had been tending their father's flock in that distant land when suddenly a strange mist surrounded them. They walked through the fog, unsure of where they were going, until they found themselves standing in the village near the wolf pit. The villagers listened in amazement, trying to picture this shadowy world so different from their own. Her story raised many questions. How could such a place exist? Was it underground or in another part of the earth? Could it have been a nearby land no one had discovered? Or was it something far more mysterious? The villagers debated these ideas quietly, unsure whether to believe her or to think it was just the imagination of a frightened child. Despite the strange tale, the girl slowly became part of the village. She learned to eat regular food, wore the villagers' clothes, and even helped with chores. Yet she always spoke of St. Martin's Land with a mixture of fear and longing. It was a home she missed deeply but could never return to. Historians and storytellers who later heard the tale offered many explanations. Some thought the children were from a lost tribe or a group of immigrants who had wandered far from their homes. Others suggested medical conditions might explain their green skin and strange behavior. Some even wondered if the story hinted at something supernatural or otherworldly. The mystery of the green children continued to capture imaginations. Their brief arrival challenged the villagers' understanding of the world and reminded everyone that sometimes strange and unexplainable things do happen, even in the quietest corners of the earth. Over time, the girl's story about St. Martin's Land sparked many conversations among the villagers. People who had once been fearful now grew fascinated by the idea of another world hidden just beyond their own. It was hard to imagine a place where the sun never fully shone, where shadows stretched long, and light lingered in a constant state of twilight. Some listened with disbelief, others with hope, and a few wondered if such a place might exist beneath the very ground they walked on. As the girl spoke more about her home, she described strange customs and unfamiliar creatures. She told of rivers that flowed backwards, forests where the leaves shimmered faintly with a green glow, and a sky that was never fully bright. Her memories were vivid but tinged with sadness, a longing for a place she could no longer reach. She mentioned how her people lived simply but differently, with songs and stories unlike anything the villagers had heard. While the villagers tried to piece together the truth, rumors began to spread beyond Woolpit. Travelers passing through would stop and listen to the tale of the green children, sharing it in nearby towns and villages. Word of the mysterious visitors spread like wildfire, capturing the imaginations of many. Over the years, scholars and curious minds started to study the story more closely. Some suggested that the children might have been refugees, perhaps from a nearby land torn apart by war or famine. Others thought they could have come from a hidden community living underground or in caves, untouched by sunlight for generations. Some even proposed that their green skin was the result of a rare medical condition, one that caused a discoloration of the skin due to a lack of iron or other nutrients. But despite all the theories, the mystery deepened. There was no clear answer, no evidence to prove where the children came from or why they appeared when they did. The Green Children's story became a puzzle with many pieces missing. Some parts fit together neatly, while others seemed to clash, leaving more questions than answers. Through it all, the girl remained a quiet figure in the village, living a life both ordinary and extraordinary. She helped with daily chores, learned the customs of Woolpit, and grew into a young woman known by the villagers. Yet the secret of her origins never left her. She often gazed toward the horizon, perhaps wondering about the strange twilight land she once called home. The tale of the Green Children went beyond a simple story. It was a reminder of how little people truly knew about the world around them, especially in times long past. It showed how mystery and wonder could enter the lives of even the most ordinary people, changing the course of a village's history forever. As centuries passed, the story endured, told and retold by generations. Each telling brought new ideas, new interpretations, and kept the legend alive. Even today, people wonder about the Green Children, who they really were, where they came from, and what secrets their strange appearance might hold. The questions linger. Could there be places still hidden from human eyes? Are there worlds overlapping our own, waiting to be discovered? And what if the Green Children were a glimpse into one of those worlds, a reminder that some mysteries refuse to fade away with time? As the story of the Green Children traveled beyond Woolpit, it captured the imagination of people far and wide. Scholars, writers, and curious minds began to explore every detail, trying to uncover the truth hidden behind the legend. What fascinated many was how unusual the story was. Not just the children's green skin, but their strange origins and the mysterious land they described. It felt like a tale pulled from the edge of reality, somewhere between history and myth. One popular idea was that the Green Children were simply lost travelers from a nearby region. During that time, many people fled wars or hardship, wandering into strange lands without clear directions. Some believed the children were Flemish immigrants, arriving in England after their homes were destroyed by conflict. This theory explained their odd clothing and language. The green skin, they said, might have been the result of malnutrition or a skin condition called chlorosis, which was known to cause a greenish tint. Others thought the story pointed to something far more mysterious. Some speculated that the Green Children came from an underground world, hidden beneath the surface of the earth. The idea was that they might have fallen or wandered through a secret tunnel, emerging into Woolpit from a strange, shadowy realm. This theory fascinated many because it tied the legend to old myths about fairy folk and hidden kingdoms, places just out of reach, where light never fully penetrated. A more imaginative group suggested that the children were not of this world at all. Perhaps they were visitors from another planet or dimension, sent to Earth by chance or design. Their green skin and strange language hinted at something alien, something beyond human understanding. While this idea seemed far-fetched to some, it added an exciting layer to the mystery, inspiring stories and speculation that continue to this day. Medical explanations also gained attention. Some experts pointed to known conditions that might have caused the children's green skin and strange behavior. Diseases like anemia or certain infections could cause discoloration and weakness, while isolation from sunlight might explain their strange appearance and diet. Yet, no single medical theory fit all the details perfectly. Despite the many theories, no one found a definitive answer. The Green Children remained a puzzle wrapped in history and folklore, a mystery that refused to be solved. The details recorded in medieval chronicles were limited, and over time, facts mixed with legend, making the truth even harder to find. What stood out most was how the story touched on universal themes: strangeness, fear, hope, and the desire to belong. The Green Children were not just odd figures. They were symbols of the unknown, of worlds beyond what was understood. Their arrival challenged the villagers' beliefs and opened their minds to possibilities beyond their everyday lives. As the legend grew, it inspired books, poems, and art, becoming a part of England's rich cultural heritage. Writers explored the story from many angles, creating new versions and ideas that kept the mystery alive. Even today, the Green Children of Woolpit spark curiosity, inviting us to ask, what lies just beyond the edge of what we know? And could there be more stories like theirs, waiting to be discovered in the hidden corners of history? The Green Children's story has inspired many to wonder about the strange and unexplained events that might exist just beyond the world we know. Their tale is one of mystery, but also one that connects deeply with human curiosity. Imagine living in a time when the unknown was vast, and every new story was a window into something bigger. People back then didn't have maps for everything, nor clear explanations for the strange sights and sounds around them. So when two children appeared with green skin and a language no one understood, it challenged their ideas about reality. Over the centuries, the legend grew and evolved. Writers, historians, and even scientists tried to unravel the mystery, each bringing their own perspective. Some looked at the tale as a piece of folklore, a story passed down to teach lessons or explain the unexplainable. Others approached it as a historical account with clues buried beneath layers of time. This blending of fact and fiction makes the Green Children's story so compelling. It exists on the border between history and myth. What makes this story unique is the way it captures the imagination of so many, even now. It taps into something universal, the fear and fascination with the unknown. The Green Children came from a world that was both familiar and strange, a place that was not quite like the one they found themselves in. Their experience reminds us that there are always mysteries waiting to be uncovered, and sometimes those mysteries come in the most unexpected forms. This tale also invites us to think about how people react to those who are different. The villagers of Woolpit didn't turn the children away. Instead, they cared for them, tried to understand their language, and offered food and shelter. Despite fear and confusion, they showed kindness. That reaction is part of what makes the story so powerful. It's about human connection in the face of the unknown. The Green Children's legacy lives on in many forms. Their story has inspired novels, poems, and even songs. Artists have imagined their world, painting scenes of twilight lands and mysterious rivers. Scientists have studied the case to explore what might explain the strange details. Writers continue to weave new versions of the tale, each adding a layer to the legend. People today still ask the same questions that the villagers might have asked centuries ago. Where did the Green Children really come from? What was St. Martin's Land? Was it a hidden place on Earth or something beyond our world? And most intriguingly, what secrets did the Green Children carry with them? Their story remains alive because it reminds us that not everything can be easily explained. Sometimes, mysteries don't have neat endings. Instead, they linger in our minds, inviting us to explore, imagine, and wonder. The Green Children of Woolpit are a doorway to those mysteries, a reminder that the world is larger and stranger than we often believe. As you think about their story, it's natural to wonder what other secrets might be hidden just beyond what we see. What other tales have been lost or forgotten? And how many more mysteries like the Green Children are waiting to be discovered? The questions remain open, and that is part of the magic that keeps this story alive. The Green Children of Woolpit continue to spark curiosity, not only because of their unusual appearance, but also because their story raises deeper questions about human nature and the unknown. Their arrival in a small medieval village was more than a strange event. It was a moment that challenged how people saw their world. Back then, life was filled with mysteries, and many believed that unseen forces shaped their fate. When two children emerged, different and silent, it was impossible not to wonder if something beyond ordinary reality was at play. As the girl shared her story of St. Martin's Land, people listened closely. Her descriptions were both haunting and beautiful, a land of twilight where day and night seemed to blend into one endless dusk. The idea of a place so unlike their own sparked imaginations far beyond Woolpit. What if there were hidden worlds tucked away from human eyes? Places where the rules of light and time were different? These thoughts were unsettling but also thrilling. The villagers' response also reveals much about the spirit of humanity. Despite fear and confusion, they chose compassion over rejection. They cared for the children, tried to understand them, and welcomed the girl into their community. This kindness in the face of the unknown speaks to a powerful truth. When confronted with what we don't understand, our first impulse doesn't have to be fear. It can be curiosity and care. Over the years, the Green Children's tale inspired countless retellings and theories. Some focused on science and history, seeking logical explanations. Others embraced the mystery, viewing it as a reminder that some things are simply beyond explanation. This balance between reason and wonder keeps the story alive in hearts and minds. What's truly remarkable is how the legend crosses boundaries between history and myth, reality and fantasy, fact and folklore. It shows us that stories are more than just words. They are vessels carrying ideas, fears, hopes, and questions across generations. The Green Children's story is one such vessel, filled with symbols and meanings that change depending on who tells it and when. Modern readers and listeners still find themselves drawn to the story because it taps into universal themes. The experience of being an outsider, the mystery of other worlds, and the search for belonging. The Green Children are strangers who became part of a community, even if only for a short time. Their journey touches on the deeply human desire to find connection and to understand where we come from. The enduring mystery also invites us to look beyond the surface of what we see in the world. It reminds us that history is full of stories waiting to be uncovered, stories that challenge our assumptions and stretch our imagination. What might seem impossible or strange could hold truths we haven't yet discovered. As new generations hear the tale of the Green Children, they bring fresh eyes and new questions. They wonder if there are still places on Earth, or beyond it, that remain hidden. They ask whether legends like this are warnings, invitations, or simply echoes of human curiosity. The Green Children's story encourages us to embrace the unknown, to keep asking questions, and to hold space for wonder. It teaches that mysteries aren't just puzzles to solve, but gateways to exploring the vast and strange world around us. In that sense, the Green Children continue to live on, not just as figures from the past, but as symbols of the endless journey into the unknown. The story of the Green Children also invites us to consider the power of storytelling itself. How tales passed down through time shape our understanding of the world and ourselves. In Woolpit, the arrival of the children was recorded and shared, not just as a strange event, but as a story full of mystery and meaning. Stories like this serve as bridges between the known and the unknown, allowing people to explore ideas that might otherwise be too difficult to grasp. As the Green Children's tale spread, it became a part of local culture and then broader folklore. Each retelling added new layers, colored by the beliefs and hopes of those who told it. Some saw it as a warning about venturing into unknown lands, others as proof that the world was full of hidden wonders. This flexibility is part of why the story has lasted so long. It can be adapted and reinterpreted for every generation. The Green Children's strange appearance and language made them outsiders, but their story also made them unforgettable. They remind us that difference can be both frightening and fascinating. When we meet those who are unlike us, we face a choice: to reject or to accept, to fear or to understand. The villagers' decision to care for the children shows how empathy can overcome fear, even when the unknown feels threatening. Throughout history, there have been many mysterious tales, stories of strange visitors, lost lands, and worlds beyond our own. The Green Children's story fits into this tradition, offering a glimpse into a time when the line between myth and reality was often blurred. It invites us to think about how we interpret the unexplained and how those interpretations change over time. In modern times, the Green Children continue to inspire curiosity and creativity. Artists depict their twilight world in paintings and illustrations. Writers weave their story into novels and poems, exploring themes of isolation, belonging, and mystery. Scientists and historians study the case, seeking facts amid the folklore. This ongoing interest shows how powerful stories can be. They don't just entertain, they provoke thought and inspire discovery. The mystery also raises questions about how we deal with the unfamiliar today. In a world connected by technology and travel, meeting someone different is more common, yet fear and misunderstanding still exist. The Green Children's story reminds us that curiosity and kindness can open doors to new understanding, even when something seems strange or foreign. As we reflect on the tale, we might wonder what lessons it holds for us now. Could the Green Children's experience teach us to be more open to differences in others? To embrace mystery rather than fear it? To look beyond appearances and listen closely to stories, even when they seem strange. The legend also encourages us to imagine, to think about what lies beyond what we can see or prove. It invites us to keep asking questions and to remain open to possibilities. What if there are worlds within our own that we have yet to discover? What if the past holds secrets waiting to be understood? Ultimately, the Green Children's story is a journey, not just theirs, but ours as well. It takes us beyond the familiar and into the realm of wonder. It challenges us to explore the edges of knowledge and to find meaning in mystery. And in doing so, it keeps alive a sense of awe that connects us to the past and to the endless unknown ahead. The story of the Green Children of Woolpit holds a strange, timeless quality that continues to captivate us. It's not just the mystery of where they came from or why their skin was green. It's the way their tale touches something deep within us. We are drawn to stories that challenge what we know, stories that hint at other worlds or hidden truths just beyond our reach. The Green Children's arrival in that quiet English village is a doorway into such a world. People have tried to explain the story in countless ways, but what remains so compelling is the sense of wonder it inspires. The girls' descriptions of St. Martin's Land, a place of endless twilight and strange customs, ignite our imagination. We picture a world both familiar and utterly alien, a place where the rules are different and the unexpected is normal. This vision invites us to explore not just the children's world, but the limits of our own understanding. The villagers' response to the children reveals much about humanity. They faced something strange and unknown and chose compassion. This act of kindness is a powerful reminder of how we might respond today when confronted with the unfamiliar. Their willingness to care for the children, to learn their language and nurture them, shows a hopeful side of human nature, one that seeks connection rather than division. Beyond the village, the Green Children's story became part of a larger tapestry of folklore and legend. It joined countless other tales about mysterious visitors, hidden lands, and unexplained phenomena. These stories have always fascinated people because they blur the line between reality and fantasy. They challenge us to think beyond the ordinary and consider what mysteries might still exist in the world. Modern interpretations of the Green Children reflect our own era's curiosity. Some see them as early refugees, others as beings from another dimension or even another planet. These theories show how the story adapts to new ideas and technologies, keeping it alive and relevant. It's a reminder that legends are living things, changing with each retelling and each generation. The story also encourages us to think about identity and belonging. The Green Children were outsiders in every sense. They looked different, spoke a strange language, and came from a place unknown. Yet, the girls' integration into the village highlights a universal desire to find a place where we are accepted and understood. This theme resonates deeply because everyone, at some point, feels like a stranger in a new world. What if the Green Children's story is more than just a curious legend? What if it holds a message about openness and empathy? It challenges us to embrace the unknown with kindness rather than fear. It invites us to listen carefully to stories that seem strange or foreign, knowing that they might hold truths worth understanding. As the Green Children's tale continues to inspire artists, writers, and dreamers, it reminds us that mystery and wonder are essential parts of the human experience. They push us to explore, to question, and to imagine worlds beyond our own. And perhaps, in that exploration, we discover something new about ourselves.